Hello, everyone. Good to see you. Um, Today, I wrote a note about the tongue, and I thought I'd go live to provide some context around it. So, do you remember the tongue depressor? It was a long, flat stick which looked like a wide ice cream popsicle stick, which doctors used to use to check the throat and the tonsils. They no longer do that, and at the time, he may or she may have looked at your tongue while they were pulling out that little pen-like flashlight. So the tongue is really very much an overlooked organ. It's barely even considered as an organ. People usually will get their eyes checked, they'll get their ears checked, they'll get their nose checked, but rarely do they have a check on the tongue. Until something happens. And that something happening could be either get burnt, it gets cut, or there are other things, papilla that will grow on the tongue, and that's an indicator that's beyond it. But for the most part, we forget about it. And there's another one, the sense of taste that gets lost, like happened to many, many people during the pandemic, and many people have not yet regained their sense of taste. And that is an indicator of a disease pattern that's happening within the system, that we want to make sure that that you start tasting your food. It's just the elixir. What is life without taste, right? So both Ayurveda and Chinese medicine have long histories of using the tongue as a diagnostic tool. In Ayurveda, it is also used for dosha evaluation, or which is your constitutional evaluation, vata, pitta, kapha ratios, and that is both in your Vikruti and Prakruti. Prakruti is your original state, and your Vikruti is your current state. So why is the tongue so important? It's because health starts in the gut. Hello, Carla. Welcome. We're talking about the tongue today. And feel free, this is going to be a Q&A type of situation, so if you have questions, let me know. Why is the tongue so important? Because health starts with the gut. Your body starts the digestive process with the thought of food, and the next thing that happens is you see it. And so the body starts knowing what to expect. And with the with the smelling aspect, the salivary glands are fully activated. With the salivation, enzymes begin getting produced, and these are just basic enzymes to break down the food. So it's already smelled the food, so it has an idea of what to start making, what your internal factory needs to make. But then when it finally tastes it, the body fully engages and says, okay, now food is coming. Yay, we can really amp up this process of the digestion. So the first thing the tongue does is that it senses temperatures, whether it's too hot or too cold, so that the mucosal membranes or the pink flesh inside the mouth and on the lips and further in the entire digestive tract, so that mucosal system, a membrane, it's very, very sensitive. So the tongue will tell the body whether something is too cold or too hot, because you can literally burn things all the way down, or you can freeze things all the way down. I know I've had pizza where I've burnt the top of my tongue, or I've swallowed some soup that was a little too hot and it went all the way down the throat. Conversely, with ice cream, eating too quickly, it just, mm, brain freeze. So if you've had this experience, yeah, let me know. I don't think anybody has not had it. But that's the important part of this, is that the tongue is actually sensing these things to help you not have damage to the digestive tract. So, next, there's the taste. And so the job of the tongue is to taste, and in Ayurveda, there are 6 tastes. Each has a different job. Um, each has a different quality. So, for instance, the sour taste, it has the job of creating salivation. Something that is too hot will also create some sort of salivation, but it's a little different to help cool down the food. And I mean hot as in spicy. So once the tongue tastes it, the body knows more specifically what types of enzymes to create. The other really important thing about the tongue, which has nothing to do with the internals, but the externals. It is the number one communicator that we have, especially in terms of language. Um, it will communicate needs, it communicates danger, it will communicate love. It's got so many functions and not enough attention. And It this is it it's so strange that we don't even think about it in our medical system. Um, there is a time when we just kind of use the tongue for no good reason, and that's just kinda like to stick it out at someone to taunt them, and this is a very, very ancient system within us. Um, it goes it goes back millennia upon millennia, and right now it's kind of used as a communication tools of influencers and celebrities, and whenever I see that, I'm like, "Ooh, what's going on with their tongue? Are they really that health influencer?" Because I see all kinds of things with them. So the tongue is a map. I work with many, many clients all over the world, and the tongue for me is an immediate indicator of health. It's something like a blood test, but more immediate. A blood test changes over time depending on what you've eaten or how much disease process is happening in the system, like a virus. Well, viruses don't really get blood tests, but th- yeah, they can. There's a lot of false positives with viruses. Um, but too many sugars, too much uric acid in the blood, too much um, of a certain mineral, and that goes up and down, sometimes very quickly and sometimes slowly. And there are so many things that are being tested. For me, I see this as an immediate indicator of what's happening. So, for instance, it's a map of the organs in the body and some other structures. So, if I see a long, deep line down the center, I know to start asking questions about the spine. If I see an indication at the tip of the tongue, like right there, um, it means that I need to start asking questions about the thyroid. The left and the right sides of the tongue correspond to the left and right sides of the body. There are different indicators for absorbing your food, not having enough nutritional value being processed out of the food. So there are very many indicators. So why am I talking about this today? Because it's important for you to know your own tongue, because it is the first indicator of something, whether something is off, or better yet, if you're doing something right, and your gut or inflammation or whatever it is that you're working with is healing. It saves you lots of money in terms of pharmaceuticals, doctor's visits, vitamins, um, interesting food choices. Um, yeah, those in and of itself is going to help you, have your health. And so why is this? It's because overnight, beyond the fact that it's simply a mirror, but overnight what happens is that you're lying horizontal, and the anything that's not going downward in the system to be eliminated comes up and is seen on the tongue. And so any undigested food is happening there. So on Friday, I'm hosting a sacred rituals class, which is dinacharya. Dinacharya is the Ayurvedic uh, term for daily routines. Now, daily routines are um, uh, usually these habits that you start at childhood. And so Ayurveda, since is thousands of years old, coming from a vast continent of different needs of people, they have many, many rituals that you can do. And it gets really confusing as to which one you should be doing. So on Friday, I'm hosting a rituals class, which is going to explore many aspects of like these, and how to look at your tongue for personal health, so that you know when to go to the doctor or get a cold remedy or whatever it is that you need to do before you even feel it within your system, because it'll show up on your tongue. But in order to do this, you need to know a little bit about your tongue, and it has been so neglected by the medical system. I mean, the doctors aren't even using those tongue depressors any longer to look inside the mouth, that of course you want to know yourself. At least I do. Um, so on Friday, we are having the class, and there's the link to it. It's free to all my paid subscribers. It can also be a standalone and class, and it is $35 on Friday. Starts at 10 o'clock Mountain Time, which is 12 o'clock Eastern and 9 o'clock Pacific. If you want to read more about this topic, I've written also a Substack post, which you can go to. It's free. And just going to put that into the chat. And so this is supposed to be a Q&A. That you are more than welcome to ask me any question you have about the tongue, what's going on for you. And if not, if you don't have any questions, I do have something that I've written today about the tongue in my notes. And this is what I said about the daily rituals. The one thing that supports healthy living and aging well is to start and maintain a dinacharya practice, which is daily rituals. And new habits in midlife is not that easy to do. So I'll boil it down to two tips, two things which both support the gut, which will have a major impact on your gut health and on how you're feeling throughout the day. So number one is to drink 2 cups of warm water in the morning before coffee. And number two is tongue scraping, which is what this class is all about. And there's so much more to the tongue, and this is the point, than just taste buds. It's a map of the functional health and an indicator of the health of your organs and your functions. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat. If not, I'm just going to answer some questions that I was asked after this note. So question number one was, can one of the warm waters be lemon, or cayenne, etc.? So there are many health practitioners out there who say you should drink warm water with lemon, cayenne, whatever. And if you're drinking water first thing in the morning, so the purpose of water is twofold. One, water acts as something to help flush the system. Warm water in specific will help start moving the bowels, which is one of the reasons why coffee works so well. But any warm liquid will do it. So it helps flush. And then the second one is it helps to hydrate. So if you're going to do 2 cups of warm water first thing in the morning, you want to be gentle on the system because you haven't had anything in there for at least, I don't know, 8 hours, maybe longer, if or 12 hours if the last meal that you've eaten was at 8 p.m. and you've done a fast of sorts. So you want to be super gentle. And cayenne is harsh. It's like adding fire to the system without when it's not ready for it. The same is true for lemon. It's also not quite ready. So if you want to have your lemon, go ahead, but have it as the second one. And what they will do is they will sorry, got a phone call in between, spam no less. But the first cup will help just flush it out, and it will start getting the body used to it. The second one will will help hydrate. So the lemon is meant to help remove some of the stuck, undigested food. It'll start breaking it down, but it should have been broken down already. Cayenne is doing a similar thing, but it's a lot harsher. So if you're going to do cayenne water, do it much later in the day. And never, ever, ever put essential oils into your warm water. Someone else asked, does oil pulling fall into this dinacharya as well? So oil pulling falls under the daily rituals of dinacharya label, and it also serves a different function. So the activity of the tongue scraping is to remove larger molecules of undigested and indigestible stuff, including bacteria, yeast, funguses. All this will show up on the tongue. Another reason for you to know your tongue and what those things look like. So oil pulling, what it does is it works to remove bacteria that's lodged in the gums. and between the teeth and the gums, and it strengthens the tooth bed. So oil pulling is great, but if you're not used to any of these practices, you want to do the tongue scraping first. And we're not scraping, brushing the tongue. We're actually removing that a layer off while being gentle on the tongue. So oil pulling that's done without tongue scraping is like pouring clean water into a dirty caked glass and expecting the glass to get clean. It's not going to happen. You have to scrape first, and then you get to do the finer work of polishing and cleaning. And another question that happened today is why warm water instead of cold? So this is a very interesting cultural question because, in the United States, we drink a lot of cold water, cold things, and it has a cooling effect on the body. Um, but a cooling effect on the body is not the same as um, as drinking something that's iced. Cooling effect can happen with things like peppermint, with things like rose, and that helps cool the system down, or cilantro, or um, mm, dairy products will cool the body down. But when we start doing cold water, what it does is it stops the digestive function. So you would never want to wash dishes in cold water. That just doesn't work, right? So since these first two cups are cleansing the body, you don't want to cleanse with cold water. You want to have it at least minimum body temperature, the temperature of your saliva, and that's pretty warm. So no iced water. And that's about all the questions that I've gotten so far from today. If either of you have any questions, uh, please let me know. I'm happy to answer them. Again, this Friday, I'm doing a class on um, on your health, how to uh, do proper tongue scraping, as well as working a little bit with the maps so that you can know during this upcoming season, once that we're now have a cold season, but we're going to have more flus, more colds, allergies coming up, and all of these things can be shown on the tongue, and you can start taking precautions before you actually get sick. All right. Thank you so much. Until next time, I will see you hopefully around Substack or by email or maybe in the class. Peace.